Coming up here on Chicago Bears Now, are the Bears sniffing around for a cornerback as the trade deadline looms in a couple of weeks? A source told me a little nugget on that, so we will talk about that and explore some options coming up on today's show. I'm Harrison Graham. Is Ryan Poles sniffing around the trade market with hopes of adding a corner? A source told me as much, that some calls have been made to see who could possibly be available around the league. And why is that, you ask? Well, obviously Jaylon Johnson's injured, and there's no guarantee he comes back this year. Could come back in December, but that's unlikely, or at least unknown. Tyrique Stevenson's obviously playing well. You feel good about that. Kyler Gordon's back at nickel. Thought he had an okay first game, but you hope he plays better moving forward, and I think he will. Nahshon Wright, who had a pretty good game in week 1 with that pick 6 against Minnesota, has not been great since then, we're being honest. That's what this tells me. If my source is accurate on this, it tells me that they at least want to bring in competition, if not an upgrade, over Nahshon Wright, who is the weak link in your secondary right now. You feel good about Kevin Byard and Jaquan Brisker. You feel good about Tyrique Stevenson, who stacked 3 really good games in a row. You feel good about Kyler Gordon in that nickel spot moving forward. Nahshon Wright, and if you look at the Jaden Daniels passing chart, that was the area that he was attacking and that other quarterbacks have been attacking, especially in recent weeks. You compare him and Tyrique Stevenson on similar targets. Nahshon Wright's given up about double the completions, more yards, 2 touchdowns, passer rating of 115 when targeted. Tyrique's at 61. He does have 7 breakups, so he is making some plays. It's not like he's been awful. But if we're being fair, he's been the worst player in your secondary. Now, I don't really expect him to be awesome. He's like your 5th corner. Remember, Terrell Smith is out for the season as well. I think Nahshon Wright we should give some credit to for A, making this roster. When they signed him, I did not think that would be the case. B, competing in training camp to have a chance to start. Obviously, as the games have played out, he was better in practice than he has been in the games. He's a fine backup. He's not a starter. If he had to play in a 3 or 4 game sample size, I think you can feel comfortable enough to get by. I think what this signals is over the course of 17 games, and I think we've seen that play out the last few weeks, a guy like this can get exposed because he's not a week-to-week starting caliber player at this stage in his NFL career. He certainly shouldn't be expected to even be 80% of Jaylon Johnson. You're hoping he's half the player Jaylon Johnson has been. And all things considered, he's had a few key takeaways. The pick 6, the fumble recovery to set the Bears up to win that game against Washington. I give him a lot of credit while also acknowledging you could probably do better, which is what the Bears are probably sniffing around trying to figure out if they can find a minor trade that's not going to cost them too much to potentially upgrade that position. So I ask you, should the Bears trade for a cornerback? Type Y for yes, they should. Type N for no, they should not. I'm definitely open to looking around. I would not trade for a big name guy because, I still think Jaylon Johnson's a part of this team's future. But if there's a, low, mid-level CB2 out there that you can put opposite of Jaylon, I would definitely be open to that. Okay, 5 players that we're going to discuss, and then we'll look at a few free agents as well, one in particular that I think could become interesting pretty soon. Riq Woolen. There was a report about 3 weeks ago that Seattle is open to trading him, and that's because he's kind of been squeezed out of their starting lineup. His rookie year as a 5th-round pick, 6th-round pick, whatever it was, oh my God, this guy's awesome. Big, fast, takes the ball away. People were like, is this Richard Sherman or something? Still had 2 picks the next year, 3 the year after that, but was giving up more completions. And then this year, he's just kind of been phased out. Josh Jobe has been a revelation for Seattle. And producer Cullen Brown, who's a Seahawks fan, I think he can speak to this as well. Cullen, explain what's happened to Riq in Mike McDonald's defense in terms of why he's not a starter, and what do you think a trade could look like here as he is in the final year of his rookie contract?
Yeah, crazy to think that Riq Woolen once was a Pro Bowler for what, being a Pro Bowler is worth. Look, he's got all the ability. He's got the size, he's got the speed, the athletic profile is some of the best out of any cornerback in the National Football League. But in my personal opinion, he's got, a numerous amount of flaws. he can be undisciplined at times. He can be grabby in coverage. He doesn't always do the best at getting his head turned around whenever there's a 50-50 ball thrown downfield. And he's not the most willing tackler, which can be a problem in a lot of defenses. And look, we've seen it throughout this year and, throughout his time in Seattle. He's been up, he's been down, he's inconsistent. I think ultimately, though, I mean, if you're Seattle, you're trying to compete in the NFC like the Bears. You kind of value cornerback depth necessarily, even if Riq Woolen may not be your starter. You want to try to keep him. Now, he is in the final year of his deal, so maybe they could look to move off him. I think a fifth would absolutely get this deal done. Now, could you settle for a sixth if it came down to it, and maybe you just wanted kind of a fresh reset in the locker room? Sure. But, I don't know if a pick swap gets this deal done, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, one play that stood out this year was that Jake Tonjes touchdown against San Francisco in Week 1, where Brock Purdy, former Bear, by the way, Jake Tonjes, Brock Purdy, quite frankly, throws a reckless ball when he didn't have to. I think it was first or second down in the corner of the end zone, and Riq Woolen's in decent position and just does not make a good play on the ball. He does not shield Tonjes, who comes around him and kind of mosses him for the touchdown. That was kind of a poor play. So, I'll ask you this too, Colin, before we get to the next guys, because I think the question with all these guys we're going to discuss, is he an upgrade over Nahshon Wright? If it's a clear yes, then I'd be interested if the price is right. If it's not, it's like, well, is there really a purpose to making a move? You answer this question. You've seen Nahshon Wright play 5 games this year. Would you rather go to battle with Riq Woolen for the rest of the season or Nahshon Wright if you're the Chicago Bears?
Listen, I mean, if you have any potential in terms of, giving this guy an extension, I'm more than game. I think Riq Woolen has the potential to be a very, capable starting cornerback in this league. Nahshon Wright, he's really only shown that now for 5 games and everything. I think that, the Bears are kind of in this unique position where, you have Jalen Johnson, obviously, who will return from injury. You have Kyler Gordon. You have Tyrique Stevenson. Unless you had some disconcern with, Tyrique Stevenson, Riq Woolen's going to be looking for a contract extension. I don't know if he would make sense in the Bears system. That being said, I do think Riq does have just because of his athletic profile, more of a, higher ceiling, if you will, than Nahshon Wright. But Nahshon Wright's also been in the system, as you mentioned, since training camp. So that would also take time to adjustment. So if you're looking at this from a rental perspective, I would rather keep Nahshon Wright if I'm the Bears. But if you're thinking, hey, maybe we're looking to invest in this guy long term, then I would pull the trigger on Riq Woolen.
Yeah, and you wonder if they did do that. Are they worried about Jalen's long-term diagnosis with this surgery? So definitely an interesting name, a guy who took the league by storm, and it's kind of been up and down since. All right, we'll go off Riq Woolen here. Alontae Taylor with the Saints. We'll get a look at him this weekend as the Bears take on New Orleans at Soldier Field. Obviously, you've got the Dennis Allen connection there, so he's familiar with him. Second-round pick a couple of years ago. Like Riq Woolen, he is in a contract year, set to be a free agent in 2026. Kind of a nickel outside corner hybrid. And again, to me, it's got to be someone who can play outside. With Kyler back, you've got backup nickel options on the roster already. So you would have to think Alontae Taylor could play outside. But from a guy who could just step in and knows the defense, that would be a pretty seamless transition. So if the Bears beat the Saints this weekend, they fall to 1-6, and New Orleans is looking to go into full sell mode, maybe a guy like Alontae Taylor could be kind of a cheap option, a pick swap or something like that. Okay, plenty of trade rumors to come over the next few weeks leading up to the trade deadline. We also cover day-to-day news in terms of injury updates, what's going on with the team, game previews. We go live every game day as well. So if you're a diehard Bears fan, we're the channel for you. Hit that subscribe button. Okay, Rasul Douglas, who signed in August with Miami, actually has a pretty good coverage grade this year. Per PFF, which has been all over the map, but I've seen them play a little bit. I think he's held his own. He's got 4 breakups, has a forced fumble as well. Historically in his career, he's been a pretty good tackler. I don't know how that part of it has graded out and looked this year, but, this would be like a cheap rental to me. He's 30 years old. He didn't sign till August, so, to me, anything more than a pick swap, I'm not doing that for a guy who signed 2 months ago. Maybe I'd do just a 7th, but ideally I'd get a pick back. So, we'll see. I think Miami and New Orleans, 2 teams that could go into fire sale mode. So you might be able to get guys for 75 cents on the dollar. And what is Rasul Douglas on the dollar? Like a 6th or a 7th? So that probably means pick swap is something you could get for him. All right, more corners to explore, a couple more trade targets, and then a few free agents, especially one in particular that I'm pretty intrigued about that we'll talk about in a second. But do want to thank today's sponsor, PrizePicks. Daily fantasy made easy at prizepicks.com/CLNS. You guys should check them out. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. I missed my last 3-player lineup, but we are going to get back on the saddle. I've made a lot of money this season with PrizePicks, and Bears players are helping me do that. Couldn't say the same last year. Shout out Matt Eberflus. Follow other PrizePicks players directly on the app. A cool feature is you can do that. You can copy their lineups in one click, whether it's a friend, celebrity partner, or just someone whose picks you like. Just hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on PrizePicks. The way PrizePicks works is simple. You just pick more or less on player stat projections on 2 to 6 player lineups. You're good to go. Certain lineups, you can get 2,000 times your entry. That's right, $10 can turn into 20,000. I've already got one lineup in the chamber for this weekend. I'll definitely fire off some more, but I've got Trevor Lawrence more than half a passing touchdown. That's a goblin pick. Those are easier to hit. Little hint, I like the QB plays of more than half a touchdown. They're usually goblin plays, lower payout, but they hit often. It's a passing league. I've added Caleb Williams more than 228.5 passing to that, plus Cam Scatterbu more than half a touchdown, either run or catch, and he does catch some passes. That's a demon play, harder to hit. Denver's got a good defense, but you get inside the 5, Scatterbu, I like his chances of scoring there. So $20 entry to win $80. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Okay, Deonte Banks, who is not even playing anymore for the Giants. First-round pick a couple of years ago back in, I think it was the Darnell Wright draft, 2023. Yes, it was. But he's been, mostly a bust is putting it nicely. He's been a bust. If you're not starting in year 3 as a first-round pick, you're a bust, at least up to this point. I liked him coming out. He's got physical attributes I'm a fan of. He flashed some his first couple of years, but talk to our Giants host, Marshall Green. Apparently he doesn't have a great attitude. He's very grabby. He doesn't get his head turned around. He just is not developed. Now, change of scenery, the old cliche, sometimes that works. Again, is he helping you? Is he an upgrade over Nahshon Wright? Like, I would almost look at this like this is more like a long-term play. Like, he's got a year left on his deal. He was a first-round pick. He's probably an upgrade over Jalen Jones. So if Nahshon Wright were to go down, Deonte Banks does at least have some extensive experience here in his first 2.5 years in the league. I'm not convinced he's better than Nahshon Wright in Dennis Allen's system from day one, but, maybe you get him in a month from now. You put him in the game, and he makes some plays for you. But it'd be hard to say he's better than Wright because the Giants' secondary is not that good. He's on the bench. So I just don't feel great. Here's one thing I will say. I don't like Shane Bowen's defense, the Giants' defensive coordinator, and he's kind of vanilla. Dennis Allen is much more exotic, especially with his coverages. So maybe a guy like Banks, who does have talent, fresh change of scenery, more exotic defense, maybe those physical attributes could be shown more in a defense like this. Buy low on a talented guy. I wouldn't be against it. I just don't know if he's like immediate help in terms of getting on the field and playing. Riley Moss, there's been some trade buzz around him. He's been a little up and down so far this year. He's in year 3 of his rookie contract. Look at his career stats. He's played in 34 games. He started 20, so he's kind of been a part-time starter for Denver at times. He's been starting this year. Has a pick, has 13 breakups in his career. Is under contract through next year, so this would be a guy kind of like Deonte Banks, where you'd have more than just the second half of this season with him. You could see if he could help you in the near term. I actually do think he'd be an upgrade over Nahshon Wright, and he could potentially help you next year as a third or fourth corner. Gives you options depending on what Jalen Johnson's injury is long term. We hope Jalen's back and is back to his all-pro self, but surgery, you never know. So, those last 2 guys, young players with talent, especially Banks, obviously, is a first-round pick, but Moss, who's been the better player. So that might be a guy who could help you now and in the future. Banks probably doesn't help you as much now, but could maybe help you more in the future. So it's all, it's all different flavor. Do you want the guy who helps you the most right away? Do you want the guy who could help you long term? So it'll be interesting to see what the approach is with the Bears if they truly do want to add a corner. So 5 guys we took a look at here. Pick a cornerback to trade for. Is it Riq Woolen? Is it Alontae Taylor? Rasul Douglas? Deonte Banks? Riley Moss? Is it someone else? There's been Denzel Ward buzz with the Browns. Maybe they would ship him out, but I don't want to spend or trade for an expensive corner, especially if Jalen Johnson's still in the future plans, which I don't see why he wouldn't be. So I would not go that route. All right, quickly, we will take a look at some free agents here. There is no Kendall Fuller here. He signed with the Lions practice squad. Now, technically, you could poach him off the practice squad, but if the Bears were interested, I think they would have just signed him. So I don't think he's an option. But Stephon Gilmore, James Bradberry, Asante Samuel Jr., more on him in a second. But Gilmore, I thought, played at a low-end CB2 level last year with the Vikings. Like, serviceable starter, but clearly his best days behind him. Is that better than Nahshon Wright? If he plays like that, yes, but is he going to play at that same level after not playing at all this year? That, I think you'd have to work him out and kind of just see. James Bradberry, his last year and a half with Philly was not good. He missed all of last season. They were actually working him out at safety in training camp before he suffered an injury. I think it was an Achilles too for an older DB, so that does not sound like a great option. And then you have Asante Samuel Jr., who his first 3 years in the league with the Chargers, pretty damn good. Not like an all-pro or anything, but good player. And I think was in line to get a nice little contract heading into year 4. But then he has like this neck back thing, had to get a fusion surgery. There was a checkup in August. He was not cleared. He has a follow-up sometime this month. The report was mid-October. That's right where we're at right now. Maybe by the time you watch this, we have an update. Jeremy Fowler, most recently in August, said he has this medical check in mid-October. We're right there. If he clears, the expectation is that he'll sign with the team. Well, could he be the answer? If you don't find a trade you like, could Asante Samuel for the vet minimum wouldn't cost you any money? You just bring him in here, compete. Maybe he practices for a couple of weeks. You ramp him up, and if he's ready to go, maybe you plug him in, and he's your other outside corner. Because, again, his first few years in the league, I thought he was playing really well for the Chargers. So I think he all of a sudden has become an interesting option. Because remember, when Jalen went down and had the surgery, I was like, he's not realistic. I mean, if you're looking for help right now, you got to look elsewhere. They ended up grabbing Jalen Jones, obviously. Well, that was after training camp, actually. But now you're a month later, you're in the mix. Maybe he does become an option for the Chicago Bears. So I'm actually pretty intrigued with the idea of Asante Samuel Jr. for Chicago if they can't find a trade that's reasonable. Now, again, talk about a neck surgery. Like, is he going to get cleared? I don't know. But if he does, I think he becomes an intriguing option. All right, there you go. We'll see if the Bears trade or sign a corner. I would guess Nahshon Wright's going to get, obviously this weekend, you're not going to add someone between now and the game. Probably the Baltimore game as well. If those two games go poorly, maybe this ramps up and it intensifies. But it's not like he's been a total disaster. We'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks, and we'll see if they trade for a corner. Hit that subscribe button and bear down.